good morning, children. Today, I am just giving you a recapitulation of what we did in the last week. We have understood by the previous chapters that democracy is the best form of government as compared to the other two forms, that is the dictator as well as monarchical form of government. In that reference, we have learned that what are the various features of democracy that differentiates them and proves that democracy is the best form of government. We have read in details, number one, that democracy is that form of government which allows a person to choose a leader of their choice. The choice which is given to the people is irrespective of the differences in the terms of caste, creed, religion, etc. Second thing we studied in the previous videos were that democracy is that form of government which allows the people, the common people, the ordinary people to choose their leaders according to their choice. If they do not like any leaders or their functioning, they can change them in the next 5-year plan. Third and very important, we have read that democracy is that form of government which practices the principle of universal adult franchise. Universal adult franchise which gives people who are above the age of 18, irrespective of their caste, creed, religion, economic background, political background, equality in casting their vote. Last but not the least, we have read that democracy is that form of government which gives people the choice among various political groups. The choice of the people is the foremost one which plays or which decides which political government is coming in the form of the ruling government. With such features, I will now moving further to the next very important question, arguments against democracy. This is a very important question. It has come several times in the examination. This question can come in form of arguments against democracy or the demerits of democracy or disadvantages of democracy. The question language might change, but the points included in it will be the same. Let's come back to the explanation of arguments against democracy. The first argument which is given against democracy is that leaders keep changing. This means that it gives instability in the society. If one political leader or the ruling government does not follow the directions of the constitution or does not work according to the expectations of the people, the leaders will be changed in the next election. As a result of which, when the new leaders are appointed, they make changes according to their government, and whatever laws or whatever policies have been formulated before the previous government, they stand no importance. As a result of which, leaders, when they keep on changing after every 5 years, several times it has been seen that the people are so much dissatisfied with the ruling government that they want midterm elections. What are midterm elections? Midterm elections are where they do not have the patience to wait for another 4.5 years or 4 years that they are eager to have midterm elections, proving that they are totally dissatisfied with the leaders. So the first argument regarding the demerits of our democracy is that the leaders keep on changing. And when the leaders keep on changing, it brings instability in the democratic setup of government. The second feature to democracy is that it allows political competition and power play. Please understand the word political competition. Political competition means that when all the different political parties have to come in the form of a ruling party, they use all kinds of dirty tricks, all kind of illegal means and methods to be in power. Political competition means that how all the different political parties have to compete with each other so that they can come in the ruling government. As a result of which, when people follow corrupt means, they follow illegal means to attain their power, we find that there is no scope for morality. Morality basic means moral values. Children, we have read and we have since your childhood in your moral science classes, value education classes, you know the importance of moral values. But when the political competition is there, every political leaders use dirty tricks to be in power, as a result of which they lose their morality or they lose their moral values. As a result of which, this is a major demerit against the democracy. The third important factor against the democracy is that so many people have to consult in a democracy, as a result of which it often leads to delay in the decision making. I will give you a very small example related to this. Several times you must have read or you must have watched in televisions that suppose there is a government plan. The government plans goes from one office to another office, from one department to another department, and it takes days and days for each department to take their decisions. As a result of which, when it is all accumulated, we find that several times the bill or the law is being delayed because everybody takes their leisure time or they take their own time in framing up of the bill. Whenever the bill becomes a sanction, it is being sanctioned by the law, it becomes sanctioned by the government, it becomes a law. But in our country, we find that since it is a large populated country, there are various departments, we find that it often leads to delay in the decision making. As a result of which, we find that people get dissatisfied with the functioning of the government. I would like to quote here regarding the Women Bill in our constitution. The Women Bill which has taken several years for the proper implementation and to become a law. In the recent government, it has attained the Women Bill, but it can also be incorporated in a bill which has taken lot of delay. It has taken lot of years. The fourth argument related to against democracy is that the elected leaders do not know the best interest of the people. Elected leader means that these elected leaders several times they have come into power practicing corrupt means, illegal methods, unfair means, as a result of which they have come in power, but they do not know the essence of democracy. They are unaware of the functioning of the government, as a result of which the leaders are chosen, but it is the people who are the sufferers who suffer when these leaders are being elected. As a result of which, since these leaders do not have any experience of their own, often it leads to bad decisions. And democracy, which is for the government, goes against the government. I would like to quote here Abraham Lincoln saying, democracy is of the government, for the government, and by the government. But with elected leaders who do not have any experience or who are more interested in their own vested interest, as a result of which we find that the government has to face with the bad decision makers who are more interested in their own self rather than the good of the people. As a result of which these elected leaders are a kind of a burden to the ruling government or to a democratic set of government. The people are highly dissatisfied with such government, with such leaders, and want to change them, or they want to have midterm elections at times when they feel that these elected leaders are not able to satisfy them. The fifth point against the democracy is that democracy leads to corruption. This point, children, is actually related to the second point, which is political competition. I told you right now that all the political leaders, when they want to be in power, they use dirty tricks, unfair means, corrupt means. At times we have seen in the news also that the political leader kills, assassinates another person. They assassinates the character of a person so that they can be in power. So when we talk about the fifth point, we talk about that when the leaders who want their own self-interest, who want to be in power, their interest is to be only to attain power in a democracy, not to take care of the welfare of the people, we find that they use dirty tricks, as a result of which it leads to corruption. As a result of which you know that corruption is that thing which is not a feature of democracy. Corruption is all mostly found in a dictatorial form of government. We have read in our previous examples when we talk about Mexico, China, that how democracy was only in theory. It was not in practice. So when the illegal leaders are there, elected leaders are there who frame up, used illegal means and methods, policies, when they are elected by illegal means, they make illegal policies which are only for the betterment of them and their families. They are not bothered for the betterment or for the goodness of the people. As a result of which we find that the fifth argument is there, which is that democracy often leads to corruption, which is based on electoral competition. Electoral competition basically here that since they are all using unfair means, they just want all the corrupt means, they use all the corrupt means, all the political parties to be in power, they make a use of dirty tricks so that they can compete. As a result of which we find here many times political parties use muscle power or money power to be in use. Muscle power means the use of their unfair means, and money power means that those who are in power, who have money in a good amount, they use unethical means to be in power. The last but not the least, we find that democracy is, against arguments against democracy is that ordinary people don't know what is good for their decision. They cannot decide anything. I would like to give you an example that in several countries in the past, like Greece, only few people were allowed to cast their vote. These people were those people who were aware about the proper functioning of the government. But today in our country, every person of our country who is a citizen of India and above the age of 18, we find that they are free to cast their vote. There are many people who do not possess appropriate knowledge about the functioning of the democracy. There might be several reasons behind it. Maybe they are uneducated. Maybe they are busy the whole day in earning their livelihood to satisfy their family, as a result of which they are not aware of the latest updates which is happening in the functioning of a government. When these people cast their vote, they are several times being given money by a rich political leader, or several times they have been promised something so that they can be in power. So the last thing is that ordinary people do not know what is good for their democracy. Hope I am quite clear with my explanation regarding arguments against democracy. Thank you very much.